Welcome to day 23 of 1,350 days. Today I have 3 book sales to report, all made on Amazon when I checked my stats earlier today. So we're now up to 1,093, getting closer to 1,100, my next mini milestone. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is my crazy fantasy. And basically I had this idea after recently hearing Novak Djokovic talking about his recent Wimbledon win. In an interview, he was talking about how at the age of 7, he first had the dream of becoming a tennis pro and #1 in the world. He said up until that point, he just played in lessons. He just did it for fun. At the age of 7, he suddenly had this idea that he was going to become a tennis pro and the world #1. And something he used to do, he said, was cut out these pieces of cardboard and turn them into trophies. So he would turn them into a Wimbledon trophy or a French Open trophy, a US Open trophy. And even at that age to him, he said it was very real to him. He could feel himself as the champion and would imagine himself being so and create these little trophies to represent it. Well, I've got something similar. I've got a crazy fantasy myself about what will happen. I don't cut out pieces of cardboard or anything like that, but I do have a sort of mental movie I play over and over again in my mind. So my version of winning Wimbledon or becoming world #1 is selling 1 million copies of my books. Exactly what this channel is about, charting my journey to do that. Anyway, in my mind, in my fantasy, when I've done this, I return to Manchester University. Now, I went to Manchester University, obviously, straight after school, studied political science there, and it was probably, yes, up to this point, and certainly I intend it to never go back to that point, the worst 3 years of my life. I was very lonely, didn't have any friends or girlfriend, wasn't interested in my course, I had a load of psychosomatic conditions which are draining my energy, so basically spent a lot of time in my room feeling sorry for myself. Didn't have a lot to do and felt very lost. So that being the lowest point in my life. And I remember when I left at the time, I said to myself, I'm not going to return to Manchester until I have made a success out of my life. So basically, in my crazy fantasy, I return to Manchester University. I go to the Odeon Cinema, which is where I used to spend my Saturday nights at the university. All alone, I'd buy a ticket, go and watch whatever film was out that week, usually preceded by a McDonald's before. That was my lonely, sad Saturday night, McDonald's, and then a film at the Odeon Cinema. By the way, I'd never eat McDonald's now. I don't, not only do I not like the food, I don't like what they stand for or what they're doing to the environment. Anyway, I did back at the time. So that was my Saturday evenings, and I want to return to the Odeon Cinema. Now, in my crazy fantasy, I'm going to get a private screen. Well, first of all, I can just imagine myself outside the cinema, lifting my hands up high, having done it, having achieved my goal of selling 1 million copies of my book. But the fantasy goes further. I would like to get a private screening of Fight Club, because that's where I first saw Fight Club, at the Odeon Cinema in Manchester. I'd like to invite an audience of maybe 200 people, watch the film, then do like a question and answer session. The fantasy gets even crazier. I'd like to invite Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, along. I'd also like to invite Brad Pitt along. Now, I don't fancy my chances of getting him to turn up. Maybe I could get Chuck if I paid him enough money. Who knows? This is just a fantasy anyway. So I play this through in my mind, not every single night, but I use this as motivation because I just think it would be such an awesome thing to do, such a great way of bringing it to a full circle, basically. Lowest point in my life, all the way around to living my dreams. And going, the symbolism of being in Manchester, the place where I was at my lowest, to now being at the highest point. So that's what I think about sometimes, and I can feel it in those really strong visualizations I have. I can feel how incredible it would be to be there on that little section outside the Odeon Cinema with my hands aloft, saying, yes, I've done it, and then just having this amazing evening, not only watching the most influential film of my life, but then sharing it with a load of people who are both inspired by the film and then obviously inspired by my books away as well. And then the icing on the cake would be if we could get those two superstars along and have them there as well to do sort of questions and answers, talk about the film, what it was like making it, and obviously the impact that it's had, because I'm aware it's not just me it's had a huge impact on. It's still it's a cult classic, still popular to this day, and I think many people feel that film has changed their life in some way. So that's my crazy fantasy. If you want to post yours below in the comments section, then please do. Let me know what you're going to do when you achieve your dream. And if you can feel it, if you can believe it, then I think you probably will one day achieve it. So thanks for watching. We'll be back on Thursday with the next episode of 1,350 Days.